Because there's a lot of guys that got hurt in this game and a lot of guys on the shelf that missed this game. Let's bring in Dr. Bruce Grossinger for the report on this. Dr. Bruce, give us the lowdown because we saw a bunch of guys limp out of here. Lane Johnson being the biggest one, Bradley Roby, of course Slay and Sidney Brown didn't play, a couple other guys. Give us the lowdown, the rundown on your injury report.
The biggest concern, obviously, is Lane Johnson. The two favorable factors are that, if you recall, Lane in 2020 had the tightrope surgery, and all of that problem with the collapsed foot was on the opposite side. His torn adductor last year was repaired. Why am I saying it's favorable? The x-rays are negative. There's no fractures. Okay, there's no toe fracture, no ankle fracture. That's good. Also, he walked off the field. And I think, using an abundance of caution, we'll know more tomorrow. So I think there's no way to really speculate how long he'll be out. But as a Hall of Fame right tackle, obviously, that's a big that's your biggest loss there.
Now, let me stay on Lane for a second because I'm concerned about next week. Now, if you remember, they really fixed him up, taped him up to make that playoff start that he had when he had that problem. Would they side on the side of caution to miss this regular season game for next week, do you think?
I think you have to. Given his age and given his importance to the team, I think that, you know, if he even has a grade 1 ankle strain, he'll probably be out next week. And it's a shame. The Dolphins are such a great team. You know, Tua is one of the most fiery players, and I think it doesn't set up well, especially with Jack Driscoll. But knowing the importance of Lane, I can't imagine they would rush him back.
Let's ask about Jalen Carter real quick. I asked about this, Doctor. Of course, he has the ankle injury, so there's a lot of concerns here in Philadelphia about whether or not he'll be ready to go. There was some speculation as to whether or not this was a playoff game, whether or not he'd be up and ready to play for that type of game against the New York Jets. I think the decision was, maybe he could take a week off. That turned out fatal. But when it comes to a guy like Jalen Carter, what have you heard about his injury, and what can we expect going forward?
I heard exactly what you did. I heard that he just had a minor ankle strain, and this is precautionary. So I expect him to be back. I also expect Slay, who has a minor knee strain. I expect both of them to be back next week. It'll be all hands on deck. So I'm optimistic about Jalen Carter, and obviously they need him and Jordan Davis. They need the two big towers along with Fletch against Tua because that team's got three incredible weapons on offense.
Doc, my concern on the defensive side of the ball is Reed Blankenship. Now, he left the game with a rib injury. Any report on how severe or non-severe this injury actually is? Did they err on the side of caution, or is this something that the Eagles are going to have to be worried about?
Well, I heard that, and I spoke to John McMullen, and I texted with him. I heard that the x-rays were negative, so this is not a rib fracture. This is not an Aaron Rodgers clavicular fracture. This is probably just a rib strain. He really got shellacked, packed, and stacked, blindsided, and I'm sure he's going to be icing his ribs. And with ribs, it's typically a matter of pain control. So I'm cautiously optimistic that Blankenship, one of the quarterbacks of the defense, will be back. I'm hoping so, at least. The other guys, Eli Ricks and Bradley Roby, back up. You can see how this the secondary is really banged up, and they've lost Maddox for the year. Slay was out, so they were down 5 DBs tonight, so that's significant.
Hey, Doc, when you look at the Eli Ricks injury in particular, you saw how he planted that foot and that knee just bowed. When you see something like that, what is the initial concern?
Well, I'm worried about an ACL tear. You know, anytime there's an instability, an ACL really is a ligament that stabilizes the knee. So when the knee slides forward and you see bowing, an unnatural bowing, you worry about that. And you won't really know until tomorrow when they do the MRI. So that was of great concern, and I share that, D-Gun.
Did you notice anything tonight, Doctor, from Nakobe Dean, who was obviously back out there getting a lot of snaps today? One of the things that we all know about him, he's supposed to be quick, he's supposed to have speed. Those two things didn't look like they were particularly there for him today with the foot injury and coming back from it. Did he look a little bit different to you? And what's that kind of grace period going to look like in terms of him getting back to being 100% when it comes to that foot?
I think he was a little tentative. I don't think he had 100% confidence in his running. He did have, as you mentioned, 3 tackles. I heard him interviewed after the game, and he sounded like he was okay. He was healthy, and he was the first person to step up to the podium and take account. So I think you'll see a lot from Jakobi. He's really the quarterback, particularly with those 2 Georgia defensive linemen. So it's his first day back. I expect better next week.
All right, sounds good. Doc, thanks for the info. We appreciate it. Dr. Bruce Grossinger joins us every week with the injury report on the Lehocky Eagles postgame show. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and, put a cap on this. Very disappointing 2014 loss. The Eagles are no longer undefeated. I'm Mike Misnelli with Derek Gunn, Seth Joyner, Mark Farzetta, Kayla Santiago. We're back after this to close it down.
My name is Dr. Bruce Grossinger, and I'm the medical director of Philadelphia PRP and Stem Cell Institute. I'm reaching out to those who suffer from spine and joint pain. We use treatment methods that require no surgery, no scalpel, no drugs.
Running, walking, or whatever your desires are, Dr. Grossinger is where you need to come.
You can benefit from the same PRP and stem cell treatment as Wilbert Montgomery. Call us now at 610-222-5675.